Welcome to Clarity Design Tutorials. We're just going to have a quick look at how we can use fill effects, special effects and gradient tools in Adobe InDesign to generate interesting features within page design and layout. So I've just got a photo here that's been supplied, or that I took, and I've got a plain square which I filled with a green colour, and I've got the word landscape here. I'm going to be using a number of tools. Most of them are in this area up here, can also be found over here. So I've got the gradient open, I've got layers, so I've got the layers panel, so I'll just pull that out so we can have a look at that. So I'll keep that open, and the gradients, we'll just have a look at that as well, so we'll keep that open. Oops, just pull that down there, so it's out of the way, join it to the bottom there, and we'll have the colour open as well so that we can see the colour swatches. So have that open, and we'll leave that there as well. Okay, now if you can't find the gradient, if that's not open for you, you can find that inside window and inside colour, and then you can go and find gradient. See, there's no shortcut key, and it might not be open by default on your screen, so you might not have to find that. So that's where it is. And what we're going to do is we're just going to layer this up so that we've got some stuff to work with, and we're going to work with 3 layers. And you can see I've already separated these items out into 3 layers. Layer 1, the blue layer, has got the photo on it, and that's already locked, meaning I can't move that around accidentally. So we'll leave that locked for now. Layer 3, which is in the middle, unusually, so that's the rectangle at the bottom. You see it's highlighted green. And then layer 2 is the word landscape, which we'll get to in a minute or two. So how to apply a fill effect? Well, if I've got the object selected, I want to change the fill, whatever object it is. The fill is up here. Okay, I'll get to this in a second. So there's the fill, and if I want to change the colour, I can click on the little arrow. I can select one of the pre-selected colours, or if I've made a pre-selected swatch, so if I've selected a colour I want to keep it as a swatch, I can click here and make a new swatch for it. If I press shift, by the way, and click on that button, it will actually open the colour panel. You see it's the same as the colour panel, but I'll open it over here, so it saves you going hunting for it. And we can select different colours from there, and that will automatically apply to. Now also, if I double click here, I can also select from the colour range up there as well. Okay, so there's 3 different ways very quickly of selecting a colour. So I've got a nice light blue here, and before I had an opacity put onto that, so I changed the opacity down, so it wasn't 100% opacity, changed it down to about 60-70. And that opacity appears to make it lighter at the moment, but if I move that over the top of the image, sorry, let's just pick that up, move that over the top of the image, and whilst I'm holding onto it solid, when I let go, it applies that transparency. Now that's great, but actually what I wanted to do was see most of this half of the photo, and then to have it going into a gradient over here. So I'm going to use a gradient fill to do that. The gradient fill is fairly easy to use. All I need to do is go over here and find the gradient tool, which is down on the left hand side of the page. So I click on that, and I can use that. I can drag that across, try and keep it level, and drag that across, and I can apply that gradient fill. Okay, and you can see that 80% fill is still applied to the whole thing. Now I can see more of the picture over the white, but it's not quite clear. Now how to edit my gradients? Now that's fairly easy when you know how, but can be a little bit backwards if you don't know how. It's the same as it is in Illustrator. If I want to get rid of a colour, I can drag it out with the left click, press down, drag it out. If I want to apply a new colour, I can go and select it in the colour mesh here. So let's go and select that dark blue again, or something similar to it, and I can drag that down. You can see that what's happened there is it just switched off. So there we go. So I can drag that down onto there. I've got the colour that I want applied to it. So yeah, that'll do pretty much. I can, as I move this around interactively, you can see how that is changing in the live update on the screen. So I can start to build and have control over these colours if I want to from here. So yeah, I'm ready to start. Actually, I want to make this, like I said, this is transparent on this side, not white. And to do that, I'm going to use this gradient transparency, which is here. This is actually an effect, and effects are applied with this FX symbol up here. So if I just apply it, I just drag it across, just like I did before with the other gradient, you'll notice that the gradient doesn't change over here. Okay, this down at the bottom in the gradient, it looks exactly the same. Now this gradient at the moment is got way too much transparency. It's not what we want at all. Now to edit that, I can do 2 things. I can double click here, and that will open the options up, or I can go into the effects menu, see that there's a gradient feather there, and I can go and have a look inside there, and I can edit in there as well. So straight away you can see it's on a radial. I want to change that to linear, and then I might want to change it so that at the moment it's letting the white through, which looks like it's not letting much change in. So if I swap the ends of those two, there's other ways that I could have done it using this button here. I can just change that so I've got the fill effect that I want. And I'm happy with that now. Actually, I'm just going to leave that as it is. So I can play around with that gradient until I'm happy. Just maybe get a little bit more of that blue in the middle there. So the balance is a little bit stronger with the colour on that side. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like that. Click OK. So that's how to apply an effect. Now this is a particular special effect that you can apply using this tool, this interactive tool. Now I'm just going to, before I move the landscape on top, I actually just want to add another effect, but I want to add it to this base layer. So I'm just going to select that. So make sure I've got that. Make sure I've got that selected. So let's just drag that out of the way. Do it the easy way. Drag that out of the way and pick that up. Oh, it's locked. That's why. So pick that object up. So I've unlocked it. I've picked that object up, and I'm just going to go up to Effects, and I'm going to add a bevel and emboss. Fairly cheap trick, but we'll just add that to it. It will just add a little bit of depth to that image. Click OK, and then I can move, lock that layer up again, move back to the green layer, pick that up and place it over the top again, and then I can move my landscape on top of that. So you can see how that goes solid. I just want it over that, not too far away from the corner there. There we go. I've got my landscape on top of that. Now I'm just going to apply an effect to this landscape as well. So in effects, let's go and try something else. Let's do an inner glow, and immediately the inner glow gives a nice kind of almost metallic effect to it there. So we'll leave that as it is. There's all sorts of options we could apply in here. Multiply, screen, overlay, and we can change the opacity as it goes through as well. Let's make it a bit stronger. I'm just going to add a drop shadow on that as well, just to lift it out of the image there. And again, I'm not going to play around with any of these settings. If you want to, just click on them and you can play around in there for hours on end and find the look that you want. But for this tutorial, I'm not too worried about it. Just knowing where it is and where to go and play is important. One other thing to be aware of is that you can apply in InDesign, you can apply different effects to different parts of objects. So you can apply it to a stroke, fill, text, or the whole object. So be aware of that. If you're not getting the effect that you want, that might be the option to go and hunt around and see if that solves the problem for you. And that's pretty much it. So now you can build what looks like something that might have been built in Illustrator or Photoshop, but is built straight in InDesign, and it saves you a lot of trouble with going backwards and forwards in effects, and obviously it's much quicker to go and replace and change them. Do be aware that if you've got photographs in your scene and they're not rendering very nicely, that inside view you can actually change how the display is rendering, and you can put it up to high quality, and that will improve the quality of the look, but might slow down the computer a little bit. Okay, that's it from me. I hope this tutorial